Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today we are playing RUG Rhinos. Now this is a deck that I first played when it was pretty new to legacy and people were sort of experimenting with it, and I'll be honest, I did not enjoy it at all. It was not really my sort of deck and it didn't feel very powerful at the time. Since then there's been a few iterations on the deck, and things like Lorien Revealed has given it quite a lot more power to play with, because this means that you're very likely to go off and do your little combo. I say combo, it's kind of like a tempo-y play more than a combo. So what is our deck trying to do? We have Violent Outburst and Shardless Agent. Either of these can only cascade into Crashing Footfalls, which gives us two 4/4 tramplers, which we can then protect with a bevy of counter spells like Force of Will, Force of Negation, even a Mystical Dispute. And then some ways of messing with the board, things like Fire and Ice. We've got Brazen Borrower to bounce stuff. And yeah, we're basically just trying to survive for a few turns. It's like a proper tempo deck, because we do our thing as early as turn 1, and we only have to protect it for a few turns and then we win. We do have backup ways of winning the game, so we've got ourselves a couple of Minsc and Boo, and Endurance, which can do stuff, but the main purpose of the Endurance, let's move up here into the threat thing, the main purpose of the Endurance is so that we can put Crashing Footfalls back into our own deck and then cascade into them. Because obviously we only have 3, so these become dead cards after a certain time. So we can shuffle them back in and go again. And honestly, that's pretty much what our deck's trying to do. We've got some fast mana to ramp this out as early as turn 1, and hopefully it's good enough to win games. Sideboard wise, we have Inevitable Betrayal for decks that have got things like Emrakul. So basically your sneak attack style decks. We could board an Inevitable Betrayal instead, and when we cascade into this, it should be lights out. And that's the plan with that one. So we basically board out our Footfalls and stick in Inevitable Betrayal and go nuts with it. We've got a couple of Furies, there's little ways of cleaning up the board. We've got some Blood Moons, which is something we get to run here, which is a very potent sideboard card indeed. I'm a big fan of having that here. A couple of Hullbreachers, some more Endurances for Graveyard Hate, Brotherhood's End, and a few Force of Vigors. And yeah, that's pretty much the list. We're trying to do our thing and ride it for a few turns. Generally speaking, if we're still playing the game at like turn 6 or 7, the chances are we're not really winning the game. That's generally my experience playing against them with this deck. You kind of do your thing early, and then your opponent struggles to beat your Rhinos, and then you kind of trample over them. You don't want to get into a protracted game, because as the game goes on, things people are doing are better. We also, in this list, which is another thing I quite like about this list compared to previous iterations, is the 2 Murktide Regents, which is another threat that we can deploy that actually does close out games really quickly, so it's kind of a nice thing on top of having the 4/4s. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. We're making some rhinoceroses. So remember to like and subscribe, and let's just jump right in. If you're looking to play Legacy on MTGO like me, why not try Card Hoarder? They're a rental service that I personally use, and I found them better than other rental services that I've used in the past. So why not give them a try? So our opening hand is actually kind of slow. We can make a turn 3 Shardless Agent. We don't really have any protection or anything either, no forces, so I think we're just going to mulligan this one. This has a force, but then doesn't really do much else. I think we can do better. Alright, at this point we're probably going to have to keep a hand like this, which isn't really ideal. So Murktide's going to require a little bit more work, so I don't think we want that one. The Lorien Revealed, it's going to be pretty nice here. I kind of want the Fire Ice. I think we're better off throwing away a land and keeping the Lorien Revealed than the other way around. So we have to decide what goes here. It's probably the Boseiju. I'm going to play off coloured sources here. Yeah, our hand is not great, but we have some interaction at least in this hand. So it's a bit like the first 7 we had, where it was a 7-card hand that made the thing on turn 3, but this one also has an added bit of interaction. So it is still better than the 7. Prismatic Vista, that's normally like a control-y type strategy as a general rule, which is probably going to be very bad news for us, because those decks tend to have the removal to deal with Rhinos, and you can't just sort of punch them down with them. But obviously we're putting a lot of stock in just a single Prismatic Vista. It could be a whole host of different things. But generally speaking, Prismatic Vista makes me think we're playing against a control-y style deck. Right, Plains. And this Prismatic Vista, I'm going to guess it's going to get an island, but I could be wrong. Oh, a swamp. Okay, we're looking at the Yuri on taxes, not Yuri on control. Okay. So we have Stoneforge Mystic. They can go and get themselves a Cauldron, I imagine. Lion Sash. Interesting. Right. We're going to get a basic island here. Oh, is that true? No. If we get ourselves the basic mountain and then cycle for the island. And then this gets the forest, and then we can play on basics. Right, so here's our island. We're incentivized to play this instead of... because our opponent could be an opposition agent deck. So this could cause us some trouble. So I think we crack this. Our opponent will know what we're playing as soon as we play this spell as well. But we just want to make sure that we're fetching around opposition agent while we can. Okay, forest. Let's fire this. Alright, the next turn we get to make some rhinoceroses. We get to put 10 power into play for 3 mana, which is a pretty good rate. I don't think you can argue with that. And the fact that 8 of it has trample is not bad. Oh, I should also mention that the deck we're playing today is a 61 card list that I found. Oh, this is very good against us. Reason being, I think the endurance is the 61st card. Is the way it's kind of worked out, because that's the thing that lets you shuffle in and reset. But they took our Shardless Agent with that Thoughtseize, so now we kind of don't have anything. So we can suspend a Crashing Footfalls and hold up Borrower. That's not really going to get us anywhere. Our opponent is now going to play the Lion's Sash, so maybe they expected the Stoneforge to die, so they got a thing that they could actually play. They might have already had a Cauldron in hand as well. Right, so we'll play out our basic. We will suspend this. And we just kind of got to survive for a few turns and hope that the 4/4s are good enough. A Death and Taxes deck should be able to handle a couple of 4/4s coming down at like turn 6. Whether that's going to be through some removal spells, Flicker Wisps, whatever. It's going to be pretty good for them, I would imagine. Yep, they're going to start eating stuff for the Lion Sash. I don't think we need to bounce this just yet. There could be more annoying things that we have to deal with. An Elvish Spirit Guide. Are we in playing Elvish Spirit Guide mode? I don't think we are. I think I'd rather hold up the Brazen Borrower. We can bounce and then also play the Brazen Borrower, which is not a bad turn cycle for us. We can use this Spirit Guide to help us. Oh no, we need a second blue actually. We can't do that. Ignore me. Because we fetched all of our basics. Which I think is right to do against Death and Taxes when we had like a simple 1, 2, 3. Yep, so there's the opposition agent I mentioned would be a thing we'd have to look out for. So we can prevent some damage here. I think we just bounce this Oppo agent. It's the most mana intensive one for them to replay. And they can replay it in this turn cycle without any problem. But we're saving ourselves a little bit of damage. Yeah, they're going to eat something with a sash. Let's grow that. So the max damage, they could put more damage with the sash if they wanted to. They don't seem intent on doing that. Okay, so they've got a wasteland. Yeah, so the plan here is to redeploy the opposition agent. Just keep us off of some mana. But keeping this in hand means we can cast Minsc and Boo as well. Which is going to be an important one for us. Force of Negation that we can't cast. Alright. I think this Spirit Guide is better as mana to play a Minsc and Boo if we draw it. You can also deploy an Endurance, but we are very quickly sliding out of this game. Now, we do have some Crashing Footfalls in 2 turns. But is that really going to get us where we need to go? I'm skeptical. Alright, so we're going to take a bash for... I'm assuming they're going to funnel a lot of mana into this Lion Sash this turn. Taking our Volcanic. Taking our Scalding Tarn. They can take their own permanents as well. And just making it so we're dead on the next turn. Not ideal. Putting your into hand. It's not too much of an issue for us. So we will have to play out the Spirit Guide this turn. We'll leave this Tropical Island in hand so that we have a source that can cast Minsc and Boo, and we can't get wastelanded off of it. But a Source of Plowshares kills us. Solitude kills us. Flicker Wisp kills us. Skyclave Apparition kills us. Alright. That's a pretty easy victory for our opponent there. If we'd have done our thing super early, then things would have been a little bit better. This feels like a matchup where Brotherhood's End and Fury are going to do some nice lifting. The Mystical Dispute is not going to be that helpful. And the Force of Negations aren't great here either. Are we supposed to board in some Endurances over these Force of Negations? Just having a 3/4 body is probably better than having Force of Negation, I think. What am I worried about our opponent playing? Sanctum Prelate type stuff. No, I think we just have these Endurances. Just outmuscle them. Like 3/4 is a pretty good power and toughness against. And also we have the... Alright, so we need to find a land for this hand to be good. And we can definitely get punished if we don't find one. I will keep this because we can suspend the Footfalls on turn 1. But let it be known that we are a wasteland away from dying, but we are also any mana source away from just putting loads of power into play and giving our opponent a bad time. We do have a Fury that we can pitch, and we have Force of Wills. So we have a lot of agency to actually do stuff in this game. Opponent's mulligan to 6. Alright, let's make a Crashing Footfalls. That's suspended, we've got a few turns of that, and then we are going to have some Rhinoceroses. So we've got a threat, it's just on a delay. But they can play things like Sanctum Prelate type effects to stop that. Thoughtseize. Sure. I think they're going to take the Fury here. I don't think it's worth protecting the Fury with the Force of Will here. But if they don't take the Violent Outburst... Oh, they do take the Violent Outburst, sure. Okay. That's fine. We've got a counter spell. If we don't draw a spell we can cast... if we don't draw a land, sorry, we can at least draw something that can help us pitch cast a Fury, maybe. Brotherhood's End. Okay, so we can pitch to the Fury. Find another red source. We can hard cast this Brotherhood's End using our Spirit Guide if we need to. Got a reasonable amount of things covered here. We just need to wait for our guys. Do I care about this Ether Vial? I think so. We don't want like Flicker Wisps coming in at awkward timings and stuff like that. And if our opponent doesn't have a land... Okay, so there's a wasteland here, so we're not going to have much in the way of permanents here. But we're getting closer to having some 4/4s. Now we did keep this hand knowing this is a thing that could happen to it. Knowing that the wasteland could be good. But we had the high upside and we at least had the backup plan of Fury, Force of Will, and the Rhinos. Like that's, you know, 3 pretty high impacts. Okay, our opponent doesn't have a second land. Have they got something like a Silence here? That would really suck for us. Oh no, they do have a second land, they're just playing in the second main. Alright, Thoughtseize. Alright, they're going to take our Fury here. Since that's the thing we can cast. A blue source gives us Borrower as an option. Alright. We got one more turn and then we have Rhinoceroses. We don't have any mana though, so... Alright, Arab Mesa. They're going to do Sanctum Prelate on 0. That would really ruin our day. Alright, just putting Yuri onto hand. That's not so bad. That means that they can fuel a Solitude. But we do finally get some Rhinoceroses. Playing this spell the fair way of suspending it feels really bad, to be honest. Like, I've certainly been beaten by it before in the past, but it doesn't feel... Cast this. Have some Rhinos. Draw a card. Oh my god, it was a land as well. Right, now we're kicking. We've got access to Brazen Borrower. We're 1 mana away from making a Shardless Agent pop off. I'd rather not Borrower unless it's absolutely essential. A Stoneforge Mystic. Okay. What is this going to find? Batter Skull. Okay. Not a land. Let's do some attacking. See what I want to do here. Got a Plough. Feels like they got a Plough. A Solitude. It's kind of like a Plough. So we have a choice about what we're doing with our turn here. So we can hold on to this Elvish Spirit Guide and try and jam more 4/4s. But our opponent is going to be putting a Batter Skull into play. Now we can bounce the Batter Skull out of play, but it doesn't stay out of play for long. Brotherhood's End does not kill Batter Skull either. So we either have a choice of delaying the Batter Skull 1 turn with this Brazen Borrower now, but that also lets them go and find another equipment. I think we just hold on to our mana and see if we can put 10 power into play. Not feeling amazing about the situation, right? A Lorien Revealed. That's kind of useful, but not now. So they can play the Batter Skull. Going to jam us with the Batter Skull. Alright, so we have to use our Lorien Revealed when after our opponent puts in their Batter Skull, because we don't want to get opposition agented. We're not going to attack in and just trade our Rhino for a Germ. I don't think that's worth our time. So in the end step, we're going to do this. And then we can fetch around opposition agent. So, can we afford to... I don't think we can afford to play around Wasteland here. So I think we get a Volk, and then we cycle for another Volk, and then we have the green mana in hand here. That way we can't be... That means it gives us access to double red, as well as having the green mana in hand for Shardless Agent. But they're going to make a Batter Skull, they're going to batter our skull with it, and then the Vigilance on it is going to be pretty good too. So for 5 mana they can reset their Batter Skull as well. Another Stone Forge. Not the best for us. A Cauldron Complete that they're going to put right in. Yikes. Feels like our opponent has very much got our number here, and we're just going to get bodied. This is 9 damage here. And Germ Token has Vigilance, so that's not great. Fire Ice can sometimes sway some stuff. Are we just jamming our Shardless Agent and just getting more bodies? I think that's what we're doing. And then we kind of have to take another hit. And then we can do some shenanigans with Brazen Borrower and Fire Ice and just kind of keep their guys at bay. But I do not feel happy about this one. Right, so now I got the 5 mana, which is enough to bounce the Batterskull and redeploy it with Stoneforge Mystic. So there's going to be 9 damage. I think we take it. I don't think we're winning if we're just throwing our guys away here. We do need a plan, though. So we have to bounce this, which is the one they can't redeploy. Trading these off does not feel great, but we're going to have to at some point. I think we'd rather do that on blocks than on attacks. Alright, so here's where we're at. We borrow away the Phyrexian Germ Token in their turn. We probably... I don't know if we trade... Do we trade the Shardless Agent? Or not trade, do we chump with it or not? An Orcish Bowmasters. Okay, yeah, so we're going to be chumping with the Shardless Agent, and then we're going to fire off a Brotherhood's End to sweep out a bunch of their things. But we are very much under the gun here. But making the Batterskull a 5 mana play. Oh wow, they're just coming in with everything. Alright, let's play Theft out the Germ here. Feels like our opponent's got something before we go to blocks. Could be a Solitude. I've got 1 mystery card. No, I've got 2 mystery cards in hand. Right, so now we get to go to blocks. So we can block Stoneforge here. I think we do block the Batterskull here. And this blocks the Orc army, because that way if they have a ping here, we're not dead to it. If they have another Orcish Bowmaster, that could kill us, because they could grow their Orc army and ping us for 1. That attack has worked out relatively well for us. I'm just going to stick this Batterskull on the Orcish Bowmasters. They are. Okay, so we found a line that might take us to win in this game. Because we can bounce, we can tap this down for a turn. When the time comes. Okay, sure. So we attack with the squad. Half our opponent's life total. And then we can ice this. But we wait for our opponent to have a mana source. In case they equip the Cauldron. Tap this guy down. They will get a token here. Because we draw a card. And if they have another Bowmasters, we die. Alright. But we can now kill our opponent with this Minsc and Boo. Is that right? 4, 8, 12, 13, 14... Oh, they gained life off the Bowmaster ping, didn't they? Okay. Things getting slightly trickier. Ether Vial, I don't care about that one. Oh, I got something else here as well. They move in the Batterskull over. Sure. Lorien Revealed. Not really what's called for right now. So we can play this. We can play the Boo. Get ourselves a hamster. Gas up at the hamster. Do some chump blocking. And then gas up the hamster a bit more. And then we have the biggest thing on the board. We can also put the... Well, we could have put the tokens on the Rhino, actually, couldn't we? That might have been better. So, our opponent is 1 mana away from putting the Cauldron on something. Which is real bad news. Right, they didn't have it. Interesting. I think we do just whittle down our opponent's bodies here. A Solitude. Yep, that's pretty bad. We lose everything there. Maybe we're supposed to put the Shardless Agent there as well to play around that. That's certainly... Yeah, that was kind of free to do, and we kind of just walked into that one, didn't we? Alright. Yeah, I feel like we deserve to lose this one. Yes, I would like to use Minsc and Boo's abilities. Gas up the hamster here. Go attacks. Kind of want to send in the Shardless Agent to see if we can get this Brotherhood's End. But that feels like our opponent won't fall into that trap. But maybe they will. I think desperate times. How much do you want that 5 life? Probably quite a lot. Like, we're going to cast this Brotherhood's End anyway, so we may as well throw this one in. Okay. So that's made things a little bit better. They put their Euro into hand a while back, right? So they have a Euro... no, they pitched the Euro end now, didn't they? Yeah. So Eurion's pitched, so we don't know what our opponent's working with. There's a land, so they get to Cauldron Complete here. Onto this Orc Army token. Yep, so that's 10. So we block with 1, we die, we have to block with both. Wait, hold on, this is attacking Minsc and Boo, is it? Okay, I think we just let it kill Minsc and Boo there. Do I think this Lorien Revealed is better as a spell that we can cast next turn? Maybe. Alright. We can cast a 5-drop anyway if we draw one. Okay, Fire Ice is useful. You can tap this down. But we have to do it in our opponent's turn. And we can deploy the Brazen Borrower, but that will cost us our Simian Spirit Guide. Which means I think we are cycling this now. And get another Trop. And we can play this. And we can't attack into this. We can tap it down and then make the Borrower, but our opponent's on an awful lot of life. So, not really sure what my solution is here. Are they going to put a counter on this? 3. So we could tap this down now to try and dodge a potential Bowmasters being drawn for turn. I think that's probably the correct thing to do. Blue, blue. Alright, a Murktide Regent, that can be large. That can soak up some damage, but we don't really have a way of dealing with this Orc Army token unless we can bounce it. And then they'll just bounce their own Batterskull, redeploy their Batterskull. We kind of have to go through that whole rigmarole. I think at this point we are supposed to cast this. Blue, blue, and this. Got 11 damage showing. A Fury. Normally a card I'm happy to see in this sort of matchup. But not today. I guess we'll make a big guy. So take out some of these things. We'll leave the Crashing Footfalls in the graveyard in case we shuffle them back in. Alright, let's just make the biggest Murktide we can. How much damage are we attacking for here? The Murktide can kind of blank this for a turn. They're still going to gain a bunch of life. I think attacking with the 3-1 makes sense. Probably attack with the Boo. But then if they kill one of our guys, we kind of lose if they have like an apparition or something. So we just attack with the with the Brazen Borrower. Our opponents should be able to win this game. It's just taking a while. Alright, they have an end of turn Solitude. What would you like to kill with your Solitude opponent? Our massive guy. Sure. So at least we've gained a bit of life here. I think the misplay around when they had the Solitude cast is costing us a little bit. Although I don't think that much in the grand scheme of things. But that doesn't stop it from being a bad play that we made. Thalia, it's gone beyond the point where that matters too much. Moving over the Batterskull. Like, it's a big wall. We're not getting through it, I don't think. A Violent Outburst. We have one more Crashing Footfalls, so we can make some surprise damages. Is that useful, is the next question. So it's 4 mana and 1 mana for the Rhinos. So yeah, I guess we get to make the Rhinos. That allows us to chump block a little bit. Stay alive. But we are very much in the treading water phase of the game. It allows us to maybe kill this Thalia though. We can double block it. And then, oh, actually no, the first strike, we have to triple block it. Yikes. So we'll cast this. Green, red, and 1. So we cascade through. Cast this. Pay the 1. Get some rhinoceroses. So now I have to block some stuff. This is attacking for 6 and has trample. So that probably has to get blocked by 2 things. Which is a shame. Well, I guess we could block 1 and take 2 from it. If we block it with 1 and take 2, and then these 3 all block here, they first strike down one of them, then the other 2 get them. Alright. This is going to put us to 1, so Bowmaster will kill us, but it'll take us out of our misery of playing this game, to be honest. I don't think it matters which of our 4/4 tramplers you really hit here. Yep, we get a 1. We at least take out the Thalia, though. We did miss an attack with a Borrower earlier as well. Now, is that relevant when our opponent's on 39? Probably not. We don't really have a way of dealing with the Cauldra. There's a good example of when I said before that if our deck goes past like turn 8 or 6 or whatever, it doesn't feel like we're winning the game, and that's where we're at here. So they've gone for getting more bodies on board here. So they're going wider, say bounced and replayed instead of just equipping it to Solitude. So we can take this out and bash, but then what? We don't have a permanent answer for these problem cards. So we can take out this Phyrexian Germ token and then they can replay it, but what else do we have going on is the answer. I guess we can bounce the equipment and maybe counterspell it on the way down. That's our only real route out of this game. Yuck. Yeah. We could have attacked with a Borrower, I suppose. But we're just in full turtle up mode. I don't know if there's something they can play. They put their Ethervial up to 6, which is unusual. Alright, so there's a 10 power guy. We have to soak up with all of our blockers here. Oh yeah, we are just dead here, right? Yeah. Alright, I'm glad to be out of that one. That matchup didn't feel amazing for us, but it didn't feel like we had the greatest amount of agency. We did make one mistake with blocking. However, that ended up not really mattering because we just couldn't beat the equipment here. Alright. We're a deck that wants to win early. Our opponent's a deck that wants to win late. So we're always going to lose if we didn't get on the board quick. Let's go to round 2. Alright, this opening hand for round 2 is not bad. Any piece of mana allows us to do our thing. If it's fast mana, we can do it slightly quicker. We have 2 forces to keep us going. That's quite a good selection of protection. And then we can jam some big boys. It's kind of weird playing this deck. Are we supposed to be playing it like a combo deck or not? A grief. Well, they can't take both forces. So we let them grief. And if they reanimate, then we can hit the reanimate instead. So they probably take the force, because that's the most flexible answer we have. Right, they've gone for the Force of Negation because that can hit a Faithless Looting. Alright, there's the Faithless Looting. That makes sense why they took that. 2 monsters in the graveyard. Excuse me, understood. I don't think we're supposed to counterspell the Faithless Looting. It's an awkward one. Ugh. Okay. Like, there's no point counterspelling this. We're just going to lose all of our protection. Yuck. I don't feel very happy about how this game is going to go. So many times when you play against Rhinos, they just have like turn 1 Rhinos and a bunch of counters to back it up. It feels great. But then you get like the mid-level power hands and it just feels bad. Alright, reanimate, targeting Grizzlebrand. Yep, our opponent gets to draw a whole bunch of stuff here. I don't think we're going to win this game. Let's just carry on with our lives and go to the sideboard. I would like some Endurances, please. I would like some Inevitable Betrayals. Get rid of the Crashing Footfalls. This leaves us with 1 card to cut. I don't mind tapping our opponent's stuff down too much. And bouncing things can certainly be useful. Mystical Dispute is kind of awkward here because they don't have blue spells, so we trim that one. So we're not cascading into Rhinos anymore, we're cascading into one of their giant monsters. Jeez. There are lands in our deck, I believe. A Force of Will we can't cast, but a turn 1 Minsc and Boo. Is a turn 1 Minsc and Boo good enough? It's pretty good. Doesn't really beat turn 1 Grizzlebrand. Or turn 1 Archon of Cruelty. No, I think we can do better. Better than turn 1 Minsc and Boo. What a time to be alive. This doesn't really interact with our opponent. God, I don't like playing this deck, do I? Fine, we go to 4. We at least have a counter spell here. We can keep this. Minsc and Boo is too expensive. Brazen Borrower. Oh, hold on. We need to keep this Brazen Borrower as our blue card, right? So the Minsc and Boo goes. Simian Spirit Guide goes. And like, then what? Maybe it's the Violent Outburst, just so we have our mana to play the game on. The opponent's already given us the GGs. A Lotus Petal. Well, well, well. There goes our hand. Turn 1 Minsc and Boo would have been okay against this play, against what our opponent has right now. But again, a single Arc of Cruelty and then we are in the dirt. So, alright, it's our opponent's turn. Let's see how bad it is. Have to imagine we're going to get some sort of monster all up in our grills. Show and tell. Right, we'll put in this island and Archon of Cruelty. We will bounce this back to the hand. Honestly, not the worst. But this would have beaten our Minsc and Boo line quite easily. Now, it's probably going to be what we've got here as well. But at least we had the chance of doing some... Right, that's not really the one we want. Are we playing a Simian Spirit Guide that immediately dies? Or are you holding up for Brazen Borrower? Because at least it can chump block in a pinch. Interesting. Do I want to keep the Spirit Guide? We want to play it. I don't know. I guess we don't have a Taiga in the deck, do we? Oh, we do have a Taiga in the deck. Okay. So we'll get a Taiga here. I think we will just be casting this guy. I don't see it lasting in our hand for very long. I think we're going to get hit by another Archon of Cruelty. It's kind of same deal either way. Alright. If we'd have kept the Simian Spirit Guide, we'd have been in a better spot. Could have got some giant monster out of that deck. A Scrubland. Faithless Looting, sure. Archon of Cruelty and Polluted Delta. We're going to see an Archon of Cruelty come into play. Feels like we might. Animate Dead on Archon of Cruelty. Yeah, so even if we'd have gone and got a big monster, I guess we'd get Grizzlebrand and draw some cards. That might have been okay. I guess we lose everything. This is going to be on chump block duty at some point. Okay. This does stuff. So Petty Theft this guy back. Because this is the harder thing. Alright. Because if it's in the graveyard, it's easier for them to reanimate it. Whereas if it's in the hand, they have to have the show and tell. Opponent's given us the GG twice. Which is maybe a little bit unsportsmanlike in some people's regards, but maybe they're just commiserating with us too. Alright, just flash about the looting. There's Archon of Cruelty. Can they reanimate? Yep. Shardless Agent, please. Shardless Agent would be great about now. Oh, we got something else here. They're reanimating our Simian Spirit Guide to make sure they have lethal damage on the next turn. So we only have one draw step. That's not the one, is it? So we can chump block with a Brazen Borrower. That buys us another turn to try and draw. This also protects against Archon of Cruelty as well, actually. So I think we're just cooked here. So we'll resolve this trigger. Stay alive for a little bit longer. But next turn we are pretty dead. Unless they got some wild reanimation target for us in there. Grief, yeah. Just another guy. Not going to be easy, even if we do hit the high end. Alright, we got nothing. Yeah, I think keeping the Minsc and Boo there is pretty bad. Yeah, that's a nice opponent. You got loads of good cards and we mulligan to 4. Sure. Fair enough. I think playing out that Simian Spirit Guide was definitely a mistake where we could have Violent Outburst if we drew it the next turn. We could have held out for that line. And that might have been a slightly better situation to be in rather than just getting this. But I just wasn't sure if we were going to... I assumed they were going to be able to refire their Archon of Cruelty. But I guess it doesn't matter either way then, does it really? Yeah, we should have kept that in hand and maybe had a bit more agency. Now, do we necessarily win that game? No, because the turn after they then made an Archon of Cruelty which would have killed whatever we got. But we might have been able to draw some cards and sort of get back in the game. So it could have made quite a big difference there. So there's my lack of experience with this deck coming in a little bit there. But let's go to round 3. Round 3, we've got another hand that just looks rubbish. Seems to be a recurring theme here. Let's mulligan. I guess this is fine. Keep this, throw back the Endurance. And we have a Force of Negation available, as well as a lot of ways of making Rhinos when the time comes. Or Boseiju. That doesn't tell us that much about what our opponent's doing. Alright, we'll play our basic. It's also a mountain, so our opponent's less likely to think we've got counter spells, perhaps. We can't counter spell on our turn. Alright, it's just a Lorien Revealed. This will give us a bit more indication of why our opponent's on an island. Okay, so this could be like blue-green Omnitel. It could be like a slower controller deck. Who knows? Just a basic island is interesting, though. Not a land. We are not finding a lot of joy with our mana base with this deck. Guess that's what happens when you play 8 Lotus Petals instead of, well, pseudo Lotus Petals instead of actual spells, actual lands. Makes sense though. Play your stuff a turn earlier, right it to victory. What is this? A Shardless Agent. Oh, okay, we're in a mirror match. I see. I would like to counterspell this. What are we pitching here? Is it the other Force? It's probably the Shardless Agent here, isn't it? Any land casts Violent Outburst, right? So Violent Outburst is the better one because your opponent can't Force of Negation it. Right, so they get 2/2. And we get a land. Can we have a land, please? We can have a land. That's exciting, isn't it? We showed them the Shardless Agent, though, so they do know what we're about. Just going to Minsc and boo us. Oh, whatever happens this match, at least Rhinos is going to get a win on the board, even if it isn't us. An Uro. That's cool. That's not something we've got in our build. Big fan of playing good cards. I imagine this is in the Murktide Regent slot. And I think this is probably better than Murktide Regent, right? They're not attacking to our Rhinos, which means they don't have a counterspell for our Rhinos. We do need green for endurance. That lets us cast everything possible with the mana we have. Green, red. Let's Violent Outburst. Our opponent is running Dead and Gone in their list as well, and Dismember, so it is a slightly different build. Alright. What do they exile there? Fire Ice. Sure. Alright, we're just going to keep doing the thing. Interesting they didn't attack. Maybe they thought we had a counterspell to protect with. Ah, now they're coming in. Let's do it again. So Widow Aliens. Bounce one of our guys. They got another bounce spell. They looks like they do. Yep. Sure. Okay, I guess we have Force of Negation to protect our next Violent Outburst. And this is our last Crashing Footfalls. So these ones have got to be able to do the job. This mirror feels like it's probably pretty grim because so much bounce stuff going around. No attack this turn. Once more with feeling. Love to draw a land and just gas up on the old Minsc and boo. It's kind of like a land. We can't use our Force of Negation because we're going to use that on our opponent's turn. Right, we're just in, aren't we? We'll gas up one of the Rhinos, so we have an 8/8. Another Borrower? A Dismember, sure. It's got a Borrower incoming. What are we supposed to do about that? If we attack with our Rhino, they play a Borrower, they attack with both their guys, we chump block with the Boo, our Minsc and boo goes to 1. If they have something like Fire Ice, they get us that way. If they have Fire and Ice, they're always going to kill the Minsc. I think we attack with the 4/4 here. They've already used 2 bounce spells. Many Crashing Footfalls have occurred this game, but this is the first Rhinoceros that's actually getting to attack. Yeah, here comes the Borrower. So we chump block with our Disposable Hamster. Who doesn't love a Disposable Hamster? Alright, a land from our opponent. Right, cracking their land. So they're casting something that requires 2 red pips by the sounds of things. So they got main deck Fury. That would be awful against. Well, it'd be awful for us to play against. Is it Fury? Or is this just the Minsc and boo holding up red mana for some reason? Oh no, it's just the Uro. Okay. Just the Uro. Just this massive guy that's going to be better than all the things we're doing. If we find a blue source, we can make a massive Murktide. Little hamster. Time is up. Yep, like I said, they had to fire. Do we want to protect this using our Force of Negation is the question. I think so. Minsc and boo does give us an 8/8, which is land, not exciting. We can have 2 4/4s, or we can have an 8/8. If we we have two 4/4s. We can double block the Euro and kill it. If we have an 8/8, we can block the Euro and kill it. And then this, what does this guy do? Nothing. So we're losing our Minsc. We have to make a decision here. If we have an 8/8, if you have two 4/4s, any bounce spell gets us. But if we have this, a bounce spell will get us 2. Not an easy one there. I guess we make... I think we make an 8/8 here. In the kingdom of 4/4s, an 8/8 is king, right? I think we have to be back on blocks. They might just peck down the Minsc, but we can gobble up the Euro. And now we're just playing top deck wars. But they do have another Brazen Borrower coming. This looks like a Shardless Agent. Oh no, they just have the Petty Theft. Alright. Are we beating this Euro? Nah, we're done here. We're not beating that. Okay. How are we supposed to win the mirror? Fury looks pretty reasonable. But nothing else looks particularly good here. Hullbreacher has some text on it, but I don't think it's good enough text. Jeez. Bouncing stuff is good. Mystical Dispute is not amazing here. I'm not a big fan of the Fire Ice. I think it's fine, but not amazing. I'd rather have Furies, just have some big boys. Can sort of clean up quite a lot of the borrowers and stuff they play, but yeah, and just not feeling this deck, if I'm being honest with you. I think the first time I ever played this deck, I described it as like the worst deck in Legacy, so I have some pretty strong views on this one. I don't think it's the worst deck in Legacy at all, but I think the average level of this deck is not great. Like, obviously, if you do your thing, it's quite powerful, but if you're not, it just feels real awkward, as you've been seeing in these games so far. Right, we're on the play. Hand has a counter spell, but it's a turn 3. I think this is too slow. Okay, we can make a turn 1 Violent Outburst. We'll keep this. I'd rather have Lorien Revealed than a land, because at least we can go and get ourselves... Actually, I suppose we're just probably just getting rid of one of our Spirit Guides here, aren't we? Okay, so we're going to play a land. And our opponent's upkeep, we're going to play this Violent Outburst, because that plays around Force of Negation. Red, green, red. Alright, we got some Rhinoceroses in. And they can bounce these using Spirit Guides as early as turn 1. Crashing Footfalls. They've suspended theirs. That's certainly not as good as just having it in play on turn 1. Force of Negation. Alright. That gives us a little bit of agency. And we just do the thing here. Feels a bit like being like an Empty the War and Storm deck, where you just play your guys out and then you hope it goes. But we got a little bit of protection and some other stuff going on. But that's kind of how it feels. We're just sort of clinging to our seat here. I'd love to draw a land here. They should pay Theft on upkeep if they have it. Whilst we can't Force of Negation. Feels like what's happening. Or it could just be a Fire Ice. Okay, Ice is better for us than a Borrower. Alright. So now we have Force of Negation at all times. Let's crack this and go and get a Tropical Island, I think. We can always cycle our Lorien Revealed if we do need an island. We're just going to protect our things and hope that this gets there. There's Forest. Attacks. Send in the clowns. Can I counterspell your gone? I have a Force of Negation of their very own. So put them to 3. I think is it next turn they get their Rhinoceroses? Yes, okay. We do have 2 points of burn in hand, which might be relevant. A Shardless Agent. Okay. Interesting. A Shardless Agent of our very own. Guess we probably want to see if this works first. I guess we're always attacking though, right? Yeah, we'll always attack. Pow. I'm going to trade one off. I'm going to put them both there. That's fine. Green, red, blue. Let's try for Shardless Agent into the thing. Our opponent's tapped out, so it has to be a force, but I got lots of force in the deck. Alright, we're in with 10 power. And if at any point our opponent cracks a fetch land, then we get that. Okay, so they're going to get some guys as well here. But if we get an opportunity to Fire Ice our way to a victory, we'll take it. But right now our opponent is bigger on power than we are. Oh, they're attacking. That is bold. That is a very bold one. That means they might have more gas in the tank. Minsc and Boo that we can't cast right now. But we could cast next turn. Let's go and get ourselves... Probably want a Volk here. And we'll pass. We just need to stay alive until our Minsc and Boo can kill our opponent. Yeah, we're going to play some more Rhinoceroses. Rhinoceri. Yep. That's a lot of guys. That's 20 power of trampling. I think we will tap one down. Alright, we're going to see a counterspell. A Mystical Dispute. We can't pay for that one. Let's see what they attack with then. Nothing. That is a strange one, that. We have a spell. If it resolves, we immediately win the game. Doesn't get hit by Mystical Dispute. Does get hit by Force of Negation, which would have to be hardcast here. This doesn't target when we sacrifice the creature. Yeah. We got a game win. Now we have to do that all over again. Is the Fire Ice good? I don't know. I don't think that's where I want to be. Let's just go back in again. I don't think the Mystical Dispute is that good. Like, it helps you force your things through, but I don't think it's about that much. It doesn't hit the Rhinos. I'm just going to go back in with this. A very permission heavy hand, so I guess we're going to be the control this time. And if we find any of our thing, we can just go very early. But we have double Force of Negation, which isn't amazing against Violent Outburst. Right, let's get ready to get an island. We want to be able to cast a Force of Negation as early as possible. Let's crack this. Let's get Volcanic. Let's Island Cycle for a Tropical. And we got our full spread there. So if we can play our land before they... Alright. So now our opponent has to contend with our hardcast Force of Negations. Which might well be something that they're able to do. Shardless Agent, you can cascade. Anything weird revealed. Mindbreak Trap. Interesting. Cast this tagging this. So blue, blue, and... It's pretty good. And that's exiled, so I can't shuffle that back in later. That also feeds our Murktide for the future. Alright. We have a Violent Outburst as well, with a Force of Negation to back it up. Let's go for another Volcanic, I think is probably where we need to be here. Let's go for it. Let's make ourselves a Violent Outburst. Crashing Footfalls, cast the Crashing Footfalls. It's just going to be a Violent Outburst of their very own. Feels like we're about to get hit by a Mystical Dispute. No. Interesting. We're just in. Alright, we're just in. Okay. Let's go attacks. Dismember. Sure. Bash. Play our land. Play out a Shardless Agent. Get ourselves some more Rhinoceroses. We have a lot of power now. 14, in fact. So our opponent has to have something here. Violent Outburst is very much something. We do have Rhino Supremacy, though. Oh, I revealed a lot of their deck there. Let's see if there's anything exciting. Nothing exciting there, to be honest. I think the Mindbreak Trap is a bit of a trap, if you will, to play. Okay. What do we got here? A Fire Ice. So we could use this to double up and bash here. Is that worth it? I'm not convinced it is. I think we just send these guys in and see what they want to do. Like, they have to block one of them. Right, so they're going to trade one off, they're going to trade two off, and leave us with a 4/4 trample. That seems fine to me. I'm going to hold open this Fire Ice rather than committing the Elvish Spirit Guide. You see a Shardless Agent here. An Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. Okay. Interesting. So we're probably going to want this Fire Ice to tap down an Uro one time. Or do we try and dig into something that can just win us the game now? by tapping this down for a turn. Sure, we'll tap this down for a turn to try and draw into something better. That's not better. That is better, though. That is very much the definition of better. Get a little friend. Make our friend not so little. We get to shut off fetch lands and stuff if we get to hit our opponent here. Tapping down the boo, sure. Do I just want 4? If we get 6 here, it's effectively like 3 because of the Uros. They go to 8. And then we swing with 2 and then throw 1. So we do need this, but we will lose some. We'll lose the boo to kill our opponent next turn in theory. But I think the math works out on that one. They now have enough cards to just play this Uro. But Uro is not good enough here, right? If they don't attack the Minsc and Boo, they do have more damage to block with, but then our Minsc and Boo just gets to go and give us an 8-8, and then we can sit behind our stuff. Actually, we can just throw all of our guys at our opponents. No, yeah, because they're going up to 8 life here, aren't they? Yeah, so bounce spell is good. Tap down spell is good. If they attack with Shardless Agent, they die here, so I don't think they're going to do that. Unless they have something else. Okay. They've got a lot of cards in hand, though. We do not need another boo. So if we attack with everything, so they can block here. 4 damage gets through if we attack with everything. So I've done my maths right. So they block here. This one blocks here, and they take 4. This one blocks here, take 2 and 2. And then we throw them for the last 4 points of damage. This should be lethal. Our opponent has 1 mana up. Dismember's not going to cut it here. I think we cast the Elvish Spirit Guide, because that way if they do have a way of dealing with our Rhino, we at least get to kill the Uro. Alright, we got a match. We had to play the mirror to win a game, but we're on the board. 0-5 is avoided, which I think is better than I did last time I played this deck, so I'll take it. Let's go to round 4. We're on the play for round 4. We suspend Rhinos, and then we make Rhinos on turn 2. And then we make Rhinos on turn 3. Like, that's what our deck's supposed to do, right? So, we have to go and get Tropical Island here. If we get Wastelanded, it's annoying, but we still have a green source in hand. Let's just make Rhinos over and over again until our opponent is dead. Tropical Island from our opponent, sure. Volcanic, we'll pass. Plains. Up the Beanstalk. We want to cast this in response, so they're less likely to have a counter spell. Can we have Crashing Footfalls? Or does our opponent have a Force of Will? They do. Pitching an array. Sure. I would always prefer to be in the control player's seat in a matchup like this. Alright. We've got another Violent Outburst ready to roll. Another Beanstalk. So it's the same deal as last time. I think here, although they can Prismatic Ending one of our things, but I think that's still better than... No, actually, no, I think it's better to let them have the Beanstalk and not get Prismatic Endinged. At least get the 4 damage in, because this might come down to quite tight margins in the end, damage-wise. Alright, Force of Will, drawing 2 cards. Now, this is the downside of letting them have the Beanstalk draw. Alright, do I think we can win this game? I do not believe it's possible to win this game. We'll play a couple more turns just to sort of get a feel about some of the other things on our opponent's deck. See how deep into other colours they go. See if they reveal any Wasteland shenanigans. Ponder. Tropical Island. Kind of feels like our opponent might be like Bant rather than 5 colour. Not sure how much that changes things. So we get our Rhinos this turn. Or not, maybe. As the case may be. Alright, so they've shown us black, so we're going to get a hard cast Force of Negation here. Feels like it. Blue. Blue. White. There it is. Lovely. Opponent's got 4 cards in hand. Only 1 mana before they start doing Uro stuff. I don't think we can win this one. I think it's worth playing on. Alright, so I would like some Blood Moons. And I think I would like some Hullbreachers. Like, you can bring in Force of Vigors for Beanstalks, but we kind of need to win the game in other ways, if that makes sense. I think we're better off just trying to get, have our big haymakers and protect these coming in, so they can't do the scary Beanstalk stuff in the first place. Fire Ice doesn't feel amazing in this matchup. Borrower is a threat that we can flash in, but so is Hullbreacher, and it's better. So we're going to run it like this. What does this hand do? Makes a turn 2 Hullbreacher, and then plays like a weird Murktide Regent game. That's probably okay. So we want Forest. Fetches the island. This gets the mountain. We're going to play on basics because we're aiming on Blood Moon. Actually, no, we need to get 2 blue if we're playing the Murktide Regent, don't we? So this does get the Forest, I think. But then we get a Volcanic and an island. Okay, so we have a nice little Hullbreacher that we can try and get some joy with. I'm just going to be a green source into Beanstalk. Let's try Hullbreacher, see if we can stop them getting this draw. They don't have any mana open for plow, so it's going to have to be a force. Feels like they've got it, they've just paid 1 life for something. They're just deciding which blue card. Yep, alright. At least fuels our graveyard for the purposes of Murktide. But our Murktide's not going to be very scary, and our opponent's got white removal, so it's probably just going to clap us pretty hard. Okay, Violent Outburst, that's at least something to be getting along with. We get a basic island with our Scalding Tarn, I think. Because we are trying to Blood Moon our opponent at some point, would be nice. Just going to get the basic island here. Cast this green, red, and 1. Okay, we revealed our Blood Moon plan as well, so our opponent knows those are in our deck. And they're both getting shuffled onto the bottom of our library there. Force of Negation we can't do anything about. Okay. But, are we just doing that again? Sure, I think that's better than a Murktide. 2 bodies is better than 1 against a white removal heavy deck. Carpet of Flowers. Yuck. Mystic Sanctuary. See, look at all the good spells you can play if you're playing things. Right, let's cast this now. Yeah, look at all the good spells you can play if you're not hamstringing yourself by not having lower CMC cards. Alright, just high casting a Force of Negation. How are you supposed to win this matchup? That's the question. So we need to do something good. Although they might be... They got black here, so that's probably Orcish Bowmasters. Yeah, we don't care about that one too much. Alright, let's just make a big Murktide and try and lean into it. We could make a little one and then make the second one the bigger one. I think we're incentivized to cycle this. And we do have green costs, so I guess we'll get a trop here. Play the trop. Cast this for blue. Blue. Alright, so this is the smaller one. But it will get bigger when we make the other one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so next time we can make another Murktide. This one will grow by 2. And we can bash for 7. But our opponent hasn't even cast any removal spells yet. So it's only a matter of time before they do, and we have a bad time. Right, they got the carpet going here. They're going to get mana from it? No. Okay. We can play something in our turn. A Force of Negation. Are we supposed to hold up this Force of Negation and just bash with our guy? We know they've got a Force of Will anyway because we watched them draw it, and that will draw them a card. So I think we're just going to bash here. Yeah, we've got a Force of Will that we know about. That will cantrip for them. So we just turn the Murky Boy sideways, try and protect it with a Force of Negation, and then slam another Murktide. Ponder, that's not one of our targets for Force of Negation. We're looking for things like Source to Plowshares to hit. Do we hit another bean if they play one? Maybe. That's a tough call. Like maybe we're just all in on racing with the Murktide, so we just have to let them have the beans and hope they don't draw the right stuff. Like we could play the Elvish Spirit Guide as another creature, but I'd rather keep our Force of Negation being hard cast. Because that way we at least have Murktide Regent as another thing we could do. Alright, Uro, this is going to outpace a lot of the stuff we're doing here. Maybe we should have... Did we board any additional endurance? I don't think we did we? No, we didn't board in the endurance that we could have boarded in. But I did say at the start, if we get past turn 6, we're probably not winning a game. And we are past turn 6 right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can't cast this without going shields down on Force of Negation, so... Just keep bashing, I suppose. Also, our Murktide Regent our second one won't be big enough to block an Uro anyway. And we know they cantrip from it. And yeah, I just don't know how we're supposed to win this game. I feel so far behind. We needed one of our initial Rhinos to at least do a little bit of damage and soften them up. So they're going to add green mana here, and then they're going to make the Uro. There it is. Another carpet. Yikes. And just cast all the spells next turn. We know they have a Force of Will. We can Force of Negation back here. Right, let's cast our Crashing Footfalls. Here's the Force of Will we know about. Oh, they're brainstorming first. Interesting. Then we let them have the brainstorm. We try and fight over the counterspell they deploy. Blue, blue. The problem with this is even getting some Rhinos isn't actually very good on this board. Like, it's fine, but there is an Uro over there. We obviously counter before they get the draw of the Beanstalk in case they find a counterspell. Alright, so now we can make a bigger Murktide on our next turn as well. Plow. Binding, okay. That's kind of like Plow. Yep. Alright, so our opponent's going to have a higher life total than us next turn. That's going to be bad for us. Are we supposed to triple block the Uro to dodge a removal spell? I think we either triple block or let it through. I don't think there's any other options. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we take it and then make a really big Murktide. And then just have one creature that can block the Uro. But I think if we win this game, it'll be a miracle. A Brainstorm. A big Murktide Regent that's also going to draw them some cards. How big is this? 5/5. Okay, so we can make a bigger one. Which at least gives us Dragon Supremacy. Let's ponder. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's make the biggest Murktide we can. Apparently only has 2 cards in hand, but they do have a Beanstalk, so. Alright, this is a hard cast Force of Will that cantrips. I think I'm happy to call this one. Our opponent's too far ahead for us to come back there. Like I said, if we don't get through with the first volleys, we're just going to get beaten by any deck that wants to play a sort of mid to long game, like we did with Death and Taxes, like we did here. Just kind of getting busted up all over the shop. Now, we do have some big haymakers, like Blood Moon would have been excellent here, but it's just not something we had access to, sadly. Let's go to the final round, see if we can get 2-3. Our opening hand, once again, doesn't really do anything. This hand also doesn't do anything. I'm finding a recurring theme here. Like, we could just play a Crashing Footfalls and hope that that's good. I'm not really convinced it is, though. Yikes. I guess we try and keep this and sling back a Spirit Guide. A Mox Diamond. Okay. A Sylvan Library. No, thank you. I think we need to get a forest because our opponent's going to have a whole bunch of wastelands here. And we probably have to hold on to our lands and hope for the best. I don't think our Rhinos are going to get there. I know I'm being very defeatist, but it's just how I feel with this deck, to be honest. I play a lot of stuff on the channel, and I like some things more than others, and that's just how it's going to be with Magic. But I like to try and showcase as much as I can for you lovely people, and sometimes that means I'm going to play a deck that I really don't get on with. At least hopefully get some entertainment out of it. Alright, come on deck. A Force of Negation. I don't think we play out our Tropical Island here because it would just get wastelanded. Whereas we have 3 mana if we find one of the things. Alright, our opponent's just holding up Reclaimer activation for their turn. Okay. So now we can go blue, green, and the red because we kept this. Make sure that we didn't get hit by a wasteland. Yes, I'd like Crashing Footfalls, please. Blood Moon should be good in this matchup at least. So is that we have 10 power in 2 turns time. We have another 8 power. Right, let's see what they're going to find here. Are they getting something like a Maze of Ith to turtle up, or are they just getting a Flagstones to power out some card advantage? All right, Flagstones. We got Crop Rot as well. We can't counter this because Force of Negation is only your opponent's turn when you get to play it for free. So our opponent's getting a Savannah off the Flagstones, and then we're going to be seeing a 2020 in our near future. We do have a lot of bounce spells. That should be something we can deal with, but we do need to find our bounce spells. But they can just get themselves a Wasteland and takes off a blue first. Like, you shouldn't find it too difficult to play around our counterspell here. We're going to be doing their stuff in our turn most of the time anyway. Elvish Reclaimer, we can't counterspell that one. Okay, I'm just holding up some activations, or an activation. Right, so we've got the hard cast Force of Negation now. Do think we jam here, but our opponent can Sagiri step and take out a Rhino in exchange for one Reclaimer. Or they can just double block and do the same here. Wait, if they get a Sagiri step here, we're just not going to do any damage, right? Because they... Yeah, because of the way the block... Okay, they're just going for a shot. If they got a Sagiri step there, they could prevent the damage dealt by our thing. I think our damage... I don't know, I don't think our damage goes onto it. I think it goes on to the next one. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. It's late. I'm tired. It could be anything. Alright. So they are threatening a 2020. So we would like to find a bounce spell. Otherwise we will die. All the rhinoceroses in the world can't help me now. Come on, Brazen Borrower. So this means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we slog in. I don't think we fire everything in. Or do we? No, we do fire everything in here, right? No, actually, no, we don't. Because these ones don't have haste. What am I talking about? So we have to play this one out. So blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have a chump blocker. And then we have not enough damage on the way back. But if we find Fire Ice, and for some reason our opponent's guy is tapped, we're asking for a lot, aren't we? Probably just going to be going to game 2. Squiddles, McDiddles. Oh, they just get a Sagiri step here, don't they? We've already seen one, but they might have 2 in their list. Yeah, they got 2. Right. Annihilated. Let's... okay, so what do we want here? Endurance can deal with some of their life of notice. Okay, let's just put the things that are the best here. We definitely want a Blood Moon. Or 3 Blood Moons, in fact. Mystical Dispute, not very useful here. Force of Negation is okay against some of their Lomi type stuff, but I think we're just looking more for getting these Blood Moons into play. Furies are quite nice for taking out their little guys. We don't know how far in the green side of things they are. I like the things that tap down their guys, so I guess we'll take out the forces for the Furies. Do you want Endurances to mess with their graveyard? Because their graveyard is an important tool for them. Would I rather have a Fury that can just kill their guy in the first place, though? I think I'd rather just kill their Reclaimers. We do still have the 1 Endurance. Sure, we'll run it like this. On the play, we can make turn 1 Count of Rhinos. That's quite aggressive. We have a way of blocking a 2020. I think we just roll with it. I think we get basic forest because this gets our basic island and here's our red source. Does make the endurance a little bit annoying though. But I guess we can always cycle for a trop if we really want to cast this endurance. Our opponent's mulligan, to 5. Their deck's generally pretty good at keeping hands because, you know, they just have lots of good cards and quite a decent chunk of redundancy. Alright, so let's go for this. I do think we want the forest here. What am I talking about? We want the island here. What am I talking... Oh my god. What? Yeah, I'm just playing like an absolute clown. Yeah, this one turn could end up being like a massive deal as well. The Green Sun Zone, sure. Yeah, we should be attacking for 8 on turn 2. Or should we be attacking for 10 on turn 2? Instead, we're going to be doing it on turn 3. That's a huge punt. Alright, so we'll go and get ourselves basic island. Brazen Borrower though, happy to see you. Let's do the thing we should have done turn 1. If we lose this game by like 1 turn, it's entirely my fault. Alright. Off you go, opponent. Opponent's on the Naya Depths build by the looks of it, which you don't see that often anymore. Most people have shifted to Abzan to play Bowmasters, but I think Minsc and Boo is still a big draw to play red. Especially since you can just throw your Married Age token at people. Outland Liberator. Okay. Go attacks, send in all of our clowns. Outland Liberator makes me think they're sort of on the more Maverick skewed builds. So this will flip into a 3/3 that will attack and immediately blow up our Shardless Agent. A crop rotation. A Dark Depths. Okay, so we can jump there. Land Liberator in combat here. Or Frenzied Trapmaker as it becomes. We will lose a Shardless Agent on this, but we have the bounce for the Dark Depths. But crop rotation here is going to be very strong against us. So this is a Tropical Island. Let's cast this guy. I don't think we're supposed to shuffle ourselves in at this point. I think we're better off... Are we better off shuffling them in? Well, it's not shuffle, it puts them on the bottom. We still have 2 Crashing Footfalls in our deck. I think we will take them further away from a 3-4 Reclaimer. We'll gobble this up. So they have mana for Sejiri Step, crop rotation as well. Fire Ice. Okay, that's pretty good. And we go to attacks here. If we attack with everything, that's still fine, right? Yep, so they make the 2020 here. And we ice this first because we'd rather borrow it. So if they don't have the, if they have the crop rotation for this, then we bounce it. All right. So now if we fire ice this, they just die. So block here. Yeah, we have this game. We have multiple ways we can do this. So this will put them to 2, and then we can just fire them to the face. Boom. Right. We weren't punished there, but we did the nice little play at the end where if our opponent went to Sejiri Step to stop it from being tapped down, we then borrow it, and then we win that game that way. But our opponent did mulligan to 5. Now, we should have had power early on, and this game should have been a lot easier. So, lessons learned, hopefully. I don't think we want to change any of our sideboarding here, apart from maybe more endurances. They do chump block for a turn. Are they better than Murktides? Kind of similar. Yeah, I think I'm going to take out the Murktides. This hand is not great. It doesn't really do our thing. We need to put some pressure down and then protect it for the most part. So we're going to mulligan this one. Well, we don't have any mana sources, so I'm not counting the Elvish Spirit Guide. Right, so we keep this one. We have Count of Rhinos pretty early on. We keep our guy here. So 2 of these cards got to go. I guess we get rid of 1 Fire Ice and 1 of our lands. So you have green, blue. So we probably get rid of the red here. Is that true? Are we getting rid of the green? This gets us green, red, blue. Tough call here, actually, which land goes away. I think it might be the forest and we just have to get... No, it has to be the red source because we need both of these and the red one. Yeah, okay. Sorry, it worked out in the end. Because we need a blue source and a green source. Reclaimer? No, Green Sun Zenith for Dryad Arbor. I don't think I snap this off right away. I think we just play out a basic forest so we can't be wastelanded and just pass the turn. A Yavimaya, okay, that's not unhelpful for us. Outland Liberator. So we get to kill 2 of their guys if we want to. That slows us down for a turn because we need the Spirit Guide to pitch for mana if we want to make our Rhinoceroses. So do we slow ourselves down a turn to Fury away some guys? I think we do. Or we could Fury using the Fire Ice and then play the Shardless Agent. Sure. Alright, let's do it that way around. I don't like going down with the Fire Ice, but it only buys us 1 turn against the Marillage. Right, it's going to be a crop rotation here. Not ideal. So this needs to get us a blue source. So I think we just get an island here. Although, if we need to cast an Endurance to survive, we probably want a Trop. We don't really want to get Wasteland. We can always get a Trop with our Lorien Revealed. I want to get a Taiga with that, though. Maybe get a Taiga with this. No, we need a blue source. I think it's the Tropical Island here. Blue, green, 1. So we could be facing down a Marillage on the next turn. So if we'd have pitched the Spirit Guide and gone slower, that could have been slightly better for us, maybe. But the Fire Ice just buys us a turn, so it's kind of much of a muchness. Does our opponent have a second crop rotation? Okay, 2 mana here. Maybe they don't. Oh, they do have a crop rotation. Alright, we are in 2020'sville here. Now, holding up mana for a potential crop rotating to Shaduru step. I think we beat the triple crop rotation hand. Okay, so we're looking for Brazen Borrower. We're looking for Fire Ice to buy us a turn. What are we going to have? Brazen Borrower one time off the top. No. Alright, we're just done. Alright. Just absolutely smashed up all tournament, really. Let's talk about this deck. So you can probably guess that I'm going to say that I think this deck is bad. And I think there's some reasons for that, which is much more interesting than the overall headline. So by playing this whole Crashing Footfalls package, what we're essentially saying is that we're saying no to all the best cards in Legacy, right? We got no Brainstorms and Ponders. We don't get to play any of like Carpet of Flowers, anything like really exciting that can just blow open games that way. And we're just kind of putting down some aggressive threats. Now, these threats are big, don't get me wrong, they are big, but we have to expend a decent amount of resources to get them into play early. So on turn 2, we have to spend 2 cards to get 2 4/4s, which is a fine rate. It's not a problem. But they can be dealt with in one spell. Like one force can stop that. So that's a bit of a problem. Whereas you have these other tempo decks where you play a 1 mana 3/3 evasion or 3/2 evasion or whatever with Delver or Channeler. And then you get free spells like Daze to play, and you get all your cantrips, so you can actually find the things you need. Because we don't have cantrips in this deck, we're kind of all in on what we're doing, and we don't really have a lot of wiggle room to play a game. The amount of decisions we get to make in a game with this deck is far less than with a tempo deck, like a traditional sort of Delvery style tempo deck, where you have to make, 6 or 7 decisions a turn sometimes. But on average with that deck, you're making a choice between a couple of things, 3 things, whatever, every single turn. And then, a Ponder, a Brainstorm. That's a huge decision tree right there. Whereas this deck, we don't have that. We do our thing. We protect our stuff. Maybe we have to do a bit of combat maths, which admittedly I failed in one of our rounds against Death and Taxes. Didn't end up mattering, but we could have blocked a bit better in one of those games. And I'll certainly take the embarrassment for that one. But yeah, we don't really have any agency with the deck. So it kind of just does its thing or not. And I think if you want to play a deck like that, you can just play something more intrinsically powerful. Because what we do doesn't automatically win you the game. You could just play the Cascade deck. I can't remember, Mississippi River deck. Where you don't really have any agency in how the game plays at all. But what you do wins you the game when you do it. Which seems better than this, which has pretty low agency. This does have more agency than that deck. We've got some spells we're casting, and sometimes we were holding up hard cast, Force of Negations, maybe like the order of our playing our things out this way. There's a few little minutiae with this deck. It's not just a complete, okay, we just heard her and smash stuff. It's like the opening hand choice is quite important, and then you do have 1 or 2 decisions along the way, but generally not that many. And that's not what I really want to play Magic with. I want to play something where I've got some sort of good decisions, or I have to puzzle through what our opponent might have. I like to think of it like an evolving puzzle, when we don't really have that aspect here. You kind of do your thing and protect it. And I think if you want to do a strategy like that, I'd much rather play like a traditional tempo deck with like channelers and delvers and things. Now, we do have some like powerful lines, so being able to Inevitable Betrayal a Reanimator deck is very strong. We had a game where we could have done that, and it might have worked out quite well for us, but we played out our Spirit Guide because we didn't want it to get discarded. Now, it might have got discarded anyway if we didn't play out, because our opponent did unmask us on like 2 turns later anyway. So might have just been saving that. We don't know. But with a little bit more experience, I think I probably wouldn't be playing out this Spirit Guide like I did in that matchup. I probably just held it to make sure we could cast a Violent Outburst. But this is not particularly a deck that I would be ever wanting to sleeve up and play in a big tournament. So I tried it when it first came out, and I had a miserable time and didn't enjoy playing it. And today we had a pretty similar experience. Now, I've certainly been beaten by this deck here and there. What it does can be quite potent. Like if you just Crashing Footfalls on turn 1 backed up by a couple of counter spells, that's probably going to get you there. We did that in some of our games, or one of our games at least, and it was pretty strong. But I don't like the lack of back and forth and sort of navigating through a game here. You do get access to some pretty powerful sideboard cards in a deck like this, though. Because we can run on basics, we do have Blood Moon, which is a very potent tool I'm a big fan of. And decks playing Fury, I think Fury is a great place to be at the moment, to be honest. I really like the RUG Beanstalk deck with Furies in. That feels very strong to me. But again, that deck's a different deck that's got a lot more agency, you can do some stuff. And it does feel like with our deck, it's very hard to win the game at a certain point. And your opponent kind of knows how many things they have to answer as well, which is kind of awkward. It's like, okay, so if they've answered the 3 footfalls, it's just Minsc and Boo really is the only thing that's going to realistically kill them. Like, yeah, sure, Murktide can, but any sort of deck with a decent removal package is going to be killing the Murktide relatively often. I do quite like the build that we played against, that we actually beat, I suppose, with the Euro. Euro feels interesting. But then again, we don't fuel our graveyard because we're not playing cantrips. We don't have our ponders and things. Now, yeah, sure, Lorien Revealed is a cantrip of sorts, and it does put a card in the graveyard, but we're not filling up our graveyard like a DRC deck, so Murktide and Uro both feel a little bit anemic on that front. Yeah, I don't really have much good to say about this one. I know a lot of people play this deck, and I know it puts up pretty good results here and there. It just doesn't really feel like the sort of Magic that I want to be playing. I feel the amount of extra win percentage you get from skill on this deck and learning it is quite small compared to most other decks in the format. Like, if you play a lot of Delver and you get good with Delver, you increase your win percentage a lot above like the base level because there's so many decisions to make. There's less decisions here, so it's not going to improve your win rate by practicing it that much. But the ceiling of how well this deck can perform is obviously quite high, but I think the average and the floor is a bit low for me. So, yeah, that's the end of that one, I guess. Bit of a downer, but not every league is going to be a super fun one for me. But it's important to play lots of different things, and you learn things about the format, you learn things about decks. Maybe I'll play something and you go, actually, no, I do like that. And that's cool, because the great thing about Legacy is whatever you're into, there's a deck for you, right? If you want to be like smashing people up turn 1 with Goblin Charboucher, you can go ahead and do that. Or if you want to play your slow grindy Bant decks or your 5-color piles and things, that's all there too. And if you want to put some Rhinos into play, I may not like their deck, but you might get along with it and you might have a good time. So don't let me be in a downer on it stop you if that's what you want to do. Alright, I think I'm done for today. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.